Thursday, September 25, 2025, AGNDD intellieReport topic: List of United States presidential assassination attempts and plots. Please pardon any visual and informational inaccuracies in this entirely AI-generated Wikipedia-sourced video article. Delve into the chilling history of U.S. presidential assassinations, from motives and mental states to the infamous killing of Abraham Lincoln. Assassination attempts on U.S. presidents often stem from desires to alter government policy, though many attackers exhibit mental instability or insanity. Historian James W. Clark argues most are sane and politically driven, contrasting the Department of Justice's view that a majority are insane. Mentally ill assailants typically act alone, while political ones often involve conspirators. Plotters face execution or long imprisonment. The vice president's shared party affiliation with the president may deter policy-based attacks. Credible threats against the president have been a federal felony since 1917, though many are rhetorical. Abraham Lincoln, the 16th U.S. president, was assassinated on April 14, 1865, at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C. by Confederate sympathizer John Wilkes Booth. Originally planning to kidnap Lincoln, Booth shifted to assassination after Lincoln advocated voting rights for African Americans. During the play Our American Cousin, Booth shot Lincoln in the head. He died the next day. The plot targeted Vice President Johnson and Secretary Seward, but largely failed. Booth was killed on April 26th. 8 conspirators were convicted, 4 hanged. President James A. Garfield was assassinated on July 2, 1881 at Washington, D.C. S. Baltimore and Potomac Railroad Station. Charles J. Guiteau shot him twice with a revolver. One bullet grazed his shoulder, the other hit his back. Garfield survived 79 days but died on September 19th from infections caused by doctors' unsterilized probing. Vice President Chester A. Arthur succeeded him. Guiteau, motivated by rejection for a French ambassadorship and mental instability, was arrested, tried, convicted, and hanged on June 30, 1882. President William McKinley was assassinated on September 6, 1901, at 4:07 p.m. in Buffalo, New York, during the Pan American Exposition. Anarchist Leon Czolgosz shot him twice with a concealed .32 caliber revolver. One bullet ricocheted, the other pierced his stomach. Bystander James Parker and others subdued Czolgosz, who was beaten until McKinley intervened. McKinley died from gangrene on September 14th, succeeded by Theodore Roosevelt. Czolgosz, politically motivated, was convicted after a brief trial and executed on October 29th. This led Congress to assign presidential protection to the Secret Service. On November 22, 1963, President John F. Kennedy was assassinated in Dallas, Texas, during a motorcade in Dealey Plaza. He was fatally shot in the back and head while riding with his wife Jacqueline and Texas Governor John Connally, who was seriously wounded. Kennedy died at Parkland Hospital. Vice President Lyndon B. Johnson succeeded him. Lee Harvey Oswald was arrested for the murder and that of policeman J.D. Tippit. Oswald was killed by Jack Ruby 2 days later. The 1964 Warren Commission concluded Oswald acted alone, though conspiracy theories persist. On March 30, 1981, John Hinckley Jr. fired 6 shots at President Ronald Reagan outside the Washington Hilton, wounding him severely via a ricocheted bullet that punctured his lung. Reagan underwent emergency surgery and was released on April 11th. Also injured, Press Secretary James Brady, permanently disabled, died 2014, ruled homicide. Secret Service agent Tim McCarthy and Officer Thomas Delahanty. Hinckley, motivated to impress actress Jodie Foster, was deemed mentally ill, institutionalized, and released in 2016. In 1912, former President Theodore Roosevelt, running as the Bull Moose Party candidate, was shot in the chest by stalker John Schrank in Milwaukee. A folded speech and glasses case slowed the bullet, saving his life. Roosevelt prevented Schrank's lynching, assessed his wound, and delivered an 84-minute speech quipping, "It takes more than that to kill a bull moose." The bullet lodged in his chest muscle and was left in place. He recovered, but lost to Woodrow Wilson. Schrank, claiming a dream from McKinley, was deemed insane and institutionalized until 1943. On July 13, 2024, during a campaign rally near Butler, Pennsylvania, 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks fired 8 rounds from a rooftop 400 feet away using an AR-15 style rifle, targeting former President Donald Trump. Trump was wounded in the right ear, took cover and shouted, "Fight! Fight! Fight!" before being escorted to a hospital and released in stable condition. Crooks killed attendee Corey Comparatore and critically injured 2 others before being fatally shot by Secret Service snipers. As of August 2024, the FBI investigation continues, with Crooks's motive unknown. On January 30, 1835, outside the U.S. Capitol, house painter Richard Lawrence tried to assassinate President Andrew Jackson with 2 pistols, both of which misfired. Tests later showed the guns functioned normally. Jackson subdued Lawrence by beating him with his cane, leading to his arrest. Deemed insane, Lawrence was acquitted and institutionalized until his death in 1861. Several assassination attempts targeted President Abraham Lincoln during the Civil War. In February 1861, amid the alleged Baltimore plot, Lincoln safely passed through Maryland with Pinkerton's protection. In December 1863, a failed scheme aimed to spread yellow fever via contaminated clothes to northern cities and the White House. In August 1864, a sniper's bullet narrowly missed Lincoln near the soldier's home. In April 1865, Confederate agent Thomas Harney was arrested en route to bomb the White House. On April 11th, John Wilkes Booth, enraged by Lincoln's speech on voting rights for former slaves, plotted his successful assassination on April 14th. In 1909, U.S. President Taft met Mexican President Diaz in El Paso and Ciudad Juarez, the first such summit, to bolster Diaz's re-election and protect U.S. investments. Amid assassination threats over the Chamizal dispute, extensive security included troops, Secret Service, and Scout Frederick Burnham, who foiled an armed assassin near the leaders. In 1910, while visiting his aunt in Millbury, Massachusetts, she reported a stranger who overheard a Boston assassination plot against Taft and threatened her. Authorities investigated, but the man was never identified. On November 19, 1928, President-elect Herbert Hoover began a goodwill tour of 10 Central and South American nations. While crossing the Andes from Chile, an assassination plot by Argentine anarchists, led by Severino di Giovanni, was foiled. The group intended to bomb Hoover's train on the Argentinian plains, but the bomber was arrested before planting explosives. Hoover remained unfazed, hiding a newspaper report from his wife Lou, saying, "It's just as well that Lou shouldn't see it." His positive comments on Argentina were warmly received by the host nation and press. On February 15, 1933, Giuseppe Zangara fired 5 shots at President-elect Franklin D. Roosevelt in Miami, missing him but mortally wounding Chicago Mayor Anton Cermak and injuring 4 others. Zangara pleaded guilty and was executed on March 20th. His target remains unclear. Initial assumptions pointed to Roosevelt, but theories suggest Cermak was intended, possibly ordered by Al Capone amid Cermak's crackdown on Chicago organized crime. In 1943, the Soviet NKVD claimed to uncover a Nazi Waffen-SS plot to assassinate Roosevelt, Winston Churchill, and Joseph Stalin at the Tehran Conference. In mid-1947, the Zionist group Lehi allegedly mailed letter bombs to President Truman and White House staff, intercepted and defused by the Secret Service after a British alert. On November 1, 1950, Puerto Rican nationalists Oscar Collazo and Griselio Torresola attempted to assassinate Truman at Blair House. In the shootout, Torresola was killed by Officer Leslie Koffelt, who died later. Collazo was wounded and captured. Truman was unharmed. Collazo's death sentence was commuted to life by Truman and to time served by Carter in 1979. In December 1960, 73-year-old Richard Paul Pavlik, motivated by anti-Catholic hatred, planned to ram his dynamite-filled car into President-elect John F. Kennedy's vehicle in Palm Beach, Florida, but aborted upon seeing Kennedy's family. Arrested days later, he was committed to a mental hospital. Charges were dropped in 1963 after Kennedy's assassination, and he was released in 1966, dying in 1975. In November 1963, right-wing extremist Thomas Arthur Valley was suspected of plotting to assassinate Kennedy in Chicago. After a tip, police found weapons in his car during a traffic stop. On April 13, 1972, 21-year-old Arthur Bremer attempted to assassinate President Nixon during a motorcade in Ottawa, but missed his chance. The next day, he failed again. A month later, Bremer shot and paralyzed Alabama Governor George Wallace, wounding 3 others. He served 35 years in prison. On February 22, 1974, 44-year-old Samuel Bike hijacked a DC-9 at Baltimore Washington Airport, killing a police officer and shooting both pilots, one fatally, intending to crash into the White House to kill Nixon. Police shot Bike, who then committed suicide. In mid-August 1974, Muharrem Kurbagovich, the alphabet bomber, threatened to bomb President Gerald Ford with nerve gas. He was swiftly identified by CIA voice analysis and arrested on August 20th, later sentenced to life in 1980. On September 5, 1975, in Sacramento, Lynette "Squeaky" Fromm aimed a pistol at Ford, but it misfired. She was sentenced to life and released in 2009. 17 days later in San Francisco, Sarah Jane Moore fired at Ford, missing. Sentenced to life, paroled in 2007, died in 2025. These are the only known female assassination attempts on a U.S. president. In 1993, Kuwaiti authorities foiled an alleged plot by 14 men linked to Saddam Hussein to assassinate former U.S. President George H.W. Bush with a car bomb during his Kuwait visit to commemorate the Gulf War victory. Accompanied by family and officials, Bush was targeted for revenge. 17 suspects were arrested, most convicted despite some retracting coerced confessions. President Clinton retaliated with cruise missiles on Iraqi intelligence in Baghdad. The plot justified the 2003 Iraq invasion, though CIA later deemed it likely fabricated by Kuwait. Madeleine Albright presented evidence to the UN. Assassination attempts on Bill Clinton. January 1994. Ronald Barber plotted to shoot Clinton jogging but aborted, sentenced to 5 years. October 1994. Francisco Duran fired 29 shots at the White House, mistaking others for Clinton. Tackled by civilians, got 40 years. November 1994. Bin Laden recruited Ramzi Youssef for Clinton hit, but Youssef targeted Pope instead. November 1996. Bin Laden plotted bomb under Manila Bridge during APEC. Motorcade rerouted, averting attack. October 2018. Pipe bomb mailed to Clinton's home by Cesar Sayoc. Intercepted. Sayoc sentenced to 20 years. In 2005, Vladimir Arutyunian threw a live grenade at President Bush during a speech in Tbilisi, Georgia. It failed to explode due to a wrapped handkerchief. He escaped, killed an agent during his July arrest, and received a life sentence in 2006. In 2022, Iraqi citizen Shihab Ahmed Shihab was arrested in Ohio for plotting Bush's assassination, motivated by Iraq war anger. He collaborated with FBI informants, planned smuggling accomplices, claimed ISIS ties, conducted surveillance in Dallas, and entered the U.S. illegally in 2020. From 2008 to 2023, multiple plots targeted Barack Obama, including assassination attempts by white supremacists, Islamists, conspiracy theorists, and mentally ill individuals. Key incidents: Marine Cody Brittingham's 2008 plot, a 2009 knife attack plan in Turkey, 2011 White House shooting by Oscar Ortega Hernandez, ricin-laced letters in 2013, a 2015 ISIS-inspired scheme, Cesar Sayoc's 2018 pipe bomb, and Taylor Taranto's 2023 arrest near Obama's home. Most were foiled, leading to arrests and sentences. From 2016 to 2024, several plots targeted Donald Trump. In 2016, UK citizen Michael Sanford tried grabbing a gun at a rally, served 11 months. 2017, Gregory Langang stole a forklift to flip Trump's limo, sentenced to 20 years. November 2017, IS-affiliated man arrested in Manila for assassination plot. 2018, ricin-laced envelope from William Allen III intercepted. 2020, Pascal Ferrier sent Riken letters and got 22 years. October 2020, Barry Croft Jr. plotted to kill Trump amid Whitmer scheme, 19 years. 2024, Pakistani Asif merchant arrested for IRGC-linked rally plot. On May 22, 2023, 19-year-old Sai Varshith Kandula from Chesterfield, Missouri, crashed a rented truck into a White House barrier. Arrested with a Nazi flag, he admitted admiring the Third Reich and intending to kill the president and seize power. He was sentenced to 8 years in prison on January 16, 2025. On August 9, 2023, 74-year-old Craig DeLew Robertson from Provo, Utah, posted threats to assassinate President Biden with an M24 sniper rifle during a Utah visit. He was killed during an FBI raid executing an arrest warrant. President Zachary Taylor died on July 9, 1850, from cholera morbus, reportedly after consuming cherries and milk at a July 4th event. Rumors quickly spread that he was poisoned by pro-slavery Southerners, persisting to modern times. A 1991 neutron activation analysis of his remains detected insufficient arsenic for poisoning. However, Marxist scholar Michael Parenti challenges this, citing forensic experts who claim the arsenic testing method was inherently flawed. In June 1923, President Warren G. Harding embarked on his voyage of understanding, visiting Alaska amid emerging corruption rumors in his administration. Shocked by reports of cabinet misconduct, he fell ill in late July, initially from suspected food poisoning. After his final speech in Seattle, he developed pneumonia in San Francisco and died on August 2, 1923, at age 57, officially from a stroke, though some suspected a heart attack. His wife Florence refused an autopsy, sparking conspiracy theories of poisoning, fueled by Gaston Means' 1930 book alleging foul play amid potential impeachment. Lincoln's assassination deepened national divisions, delaying Reconstruction and forever altering the course of American history.
Thank you for watching this AGNDD intellieReport, dear viewers. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell button to get notified during new uploads. And make sure to tune in next time. Stay safe and healthy. Cheers!